I wanted to share with you today some thoughts on parenting in withdrawal. So, if you are a parent and you are going through psychiatric drug withdrawal, this one's for you. I have walked in your shoes. I know what it's like to be in the depths of some of the most horrible withdrawal experiences and to be parenting and to really not know or see your way out of it. So if that's you, if you are in the trenches of both withdrawal and parenting, I made this video for you today. So please stay tuned. I'm also going to share with you some of the things that I've found that minimized harm and that increased our relationship and safety and connection in our family. And so I want to share some of those tips and tricks with you today. So stay tuned for that. My name's Joanna, and I went through a horrible psychiatric drug withdrawal experience. And I've come through it and am here to just offer you encouragement and hope as you go through your own healing journey. So if you're interested in meeting with me, you can find the link in the video description. And I have a calendar that you can sign up to meet with me anytime. I have spots available. You can meet with me. And also just my videos, and I also offer groups. So if any of those would be helpful for you, just go ahead and check that out. But what I wanted to share with you today was specifically on parenting and just some of the things that I learned and some of the things that helped me through it, and that might also help you through that process. So some of the things that can happen when you're going through withdrawal is you have almost like an extreme experience of depression and anxiety, but they are probably bigger than you've ever experienced before. It doesn't even seem to fit the category. It's just feels so debilitating and extreme. So you might have this really warped perspective of yourself. So I'll just list some of the things that you might be experiencing. Self-doubt, extreme self-doubt over every decision you've ever made in parenting, or self-blame, blaming yourself for things you've done in the past that are just resurfacing in your brain during withdrawal. I feel like withdrawal just it's this such negativity and extreme negative emotion, and negative emotions are kind of this network, and they can pull up other memories and feelings and emotions. And so that whole any kind of negativity from the past, it can kind of just parade it in front of you, but in this horrible perspective. So your perspective might be probably is. If you're in withdrawal, your perspective is very warped about yourself and even about yourself in the past as a parent. So you might have extreme self-blame, extreme self-doubt, self-hate, extreme questioning, horrible feelings of regret, like as if your life is over and you've made all the wrong choices, this devastating sense of regret. And that all the best days are behind you and all the chances for good memories are in the past, and you'll never make good memories again with your kids, and you ruined the best days of your life, and all of that, and a low sense of self-worth, you don't even deserve these kids, or you aren't even good enough to parent them, and you've already ruined their life, and all of that is so withdrawal. So I just want to name it for what it is. That is all withdrawal negativity, and it might be like a barrage, it is just hitting you over the head constantly. You can't get away from it. You just feel overwhelmed. But I just want to comfort you and tell you that that is not the true story. There is so much good that you can't see right now because you are in that thunderstorm, that horrible onslaught of negativity that's just part of the withdrawal experience. And so you have to take other people's word for it. If you have any loved ones who know you very well and can remind you no, you haven't been awful, that's not actually true at all. Sometimes those reminders can help. But just taking the word for other people who've gone through withdrawal, that it really does give you a really warped perspective of yourself. and make you think of yourself in the worst way and project that kind of out. So one of the things like I remember doing was I felt so like unfit as a parent when I was going through withdrawal, that I just felt like I couldn't make the mark. And like almost like this, I mean, a lot of you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Like the SI just feels very strong at times in withdrawal. And one of the things I did was I flipped it. So I thought about like what my kids would feel if I weren't there. And so I made kind of this commitment to myself that like to them, me being there says that they're worth it. And so it really wasn't about me. And so I made it about them, me staying alive. So like even because some of your worst thoughts, you can't even argue with them. You're like, yeah, I can't even argue with this. I'm the worst dirtbag in the world. Like that's how withdrawal, it'll bring you so low, that's how it works. Well, then I would just like say to myself, well, worst dirtbag or not, I'm staying alive for my kids. Like I'm going to be here for them come hell or high water. Like I'm just, it doesn't matter how bad I am. I've decided to stay here for them. And, and so that flipping it gave me motivation and strength that was like outside of myself. And so I encourage you like to take a perspective, if you can, outside of yourself, that this isn't about you, and that this can be an act of love and of endurance, and that is enough. That is enough. Like there's nothing else you have to prove or be or do. And so that actually gave me a lot of strength during some of those most extreme lows of my perspective of myself, and the SI that would be part of a symptom in withdrawal. And so I just wanted to like share that with you, that like what your kid needs is, they do not need a superhuman. They do not need someone who is like, I don't know, whatever in your head is like the ideal parent. That is not actually what they need. They need you. And they need you choosing to stay alive for them. And that's it. Like that's all it has to be right now. Like if in this crucible, in this time, you staying alive is your act of love. You choosing to be here is your act of love. You choosing them and that you want to be in their life is your act of love. And that is the most radical act of love as a parent, is to like put someone else first, And so that actually can become a powerful motivation for you in your healing and in coming through this. So another part, so that's like kind of like the extreme depression part that I feel like can play in to the parenting experience of withdrawal. Another part is like feeling the loss of time and of your abilities, because you remember what you were like before. They remember what you were like before. Your partner, husband, or wife, they remember what you were like before. So all of you feel like this impact of the change in your abilities and in your presence and in your energy and your mindset, things like that. And so you might be feeling just so much loss over that. And I just want to validate those feelings, that like, I'm not trying to brush this off as if it didn't happen, as if it's like no big deal at all. Like there is grief in this, and sometimes that grief is going to come with feelings of guilt, and the guilt is not a true indicator, because like guilt is kind of part of the grief process. It's like our brain is saying, oh, I'm in so much pain, let me make sure I never do this again. What is it that I did wrong that got me here? And so I just want to like come at that. That's sort of like a natural brain part of grief, so you might be feeling the grief of like, oh, I can't like drive my kids to school right now, or I'm not even enjoying bringing them to play dates and like watching them play, I feel so guilty. Like, what did I do wrong? Things like that. But the thing is that you did not do something wrong. This is an injury. This is something that has happened to you. And so I just want to like reassure you with that this is not a result of some horrific thing you did wrong. This is sad that this has happened. I don't wish this on my worst enemy. This is sad that it happened to any of us. It feels horrible. And so like I don't want to like lightly dismiss that, but I just want to put that grief into perspective, that like the grief experience will give you a false sense of guilt that isn't actually real. And so if you can just take that moment to like receive just a tiny bit of what I'm saying, which is like, this is not your fault. You did not do this. You did not intend harm to your family. You did not intend to make their childhoods harder or something like that. So like relieve yourself of that guilt. And also just like in life in general, we can also lose our perspective in withdrawal. So let me just like bring it back into perspective that like in life in general, loss, change, experiences of suffering are kind of like baked in to the reality of life. And so I sort of had this idea that I was going to like cushion my children's childhood to be like this plushy, wonderful, like insulated experience without any suffering, just magic and wonder and joy and a sense of my like commitment to them and of their dad's commitment to them and of like a nice backyard and a swing set and like all the happy ideals of everything childhood should be, and like minus all the negativity. That was just going to be like I would just cushion that. And one of the things that I had to reckon with was that they are not inheriting a perfect, cushy world. And that was going to break in at some point. Like at some point in their life, they were going to get like some dose of how the world is not a perfect place and disappointment happens and hard things happen. And so it's almost like I had to like update my own internal system and my own concept for what parenting was. And it wasn't just about insulating them. And actually insulating them actually maybe even wasn't even setting them up for the best kind of resilience and character strength that life demands of us. And so I kind of had to like reorganize my concept for parenting as like being their committed person who loves them, but like it doesn't mean their life is 100% cushioned. And so I kind of took on a little bit more of this idea of like, I am their biggest fan and cheerleader, or I'm their coach, or I'm their support or their rock. But I cannot change the fact that the world is an imperfect place and that hard things happen. And so that kind of change in my concept of parenting actually helped me to accept this experience of suffering. Not only like, yeah, it was really hard to accept for myself, but then I also had to accept how it was affecting my kids' childhood. And so I had to like update my whole concept of parenting, that like a good childhood doesn't mean an insulated childhood. And a good parent doesn't mean one that 100% makes everything proofed from any kind of suffering. And so in that process, I was able to actually become closer to my kids, which is just like radical to be able to like talk about this now, but radical to experience that I could be honest with them, on their level, and that I could be even vulnerable with them on their level and affirm and acknowledge whatever their emotions were about like what I was going through. And that, I think, has become like a really powerful relationship of, we aren't just like here for the good times and the good memories. We're also here to love each other through the hard things. And so I can give you like some practical examples, but like my kids, when I was going through this, I have three. They were 11, 9, and 6. Wait a minute, is that right? They were like changing their ages. Nope, 11, 10, and 6. Yeah, she had a birthday. And they recognized the changes in me, even though I tried to like hide it. And so what we ended up doing was just sharing with them like, hey, I'm actually getting off of a medication and it's been affecting my body and making me so tired and giving me some weird symptoms, like it's been harder for me to eat, it's been harder for me to sleep. And so I know that like I don't see myself, and I just need you to know it's not your fault and it's not anything you did, but it's just that my body is going through this healing process. And so just naming that and owning it gave them so much relief, because then they could not take it personal if I was like up in my room sleeping and not coming out and hanging out with them and going to the park and doing the fun things. Like whatever it was, that it was the way that it was affecting our day, it could go in that bucket for them where it's like, oh, that's right, Mom's still getting better from withdrawal. And there were like different angles of the conversation. It went differently for the different ones because they were different ages. And but what we tried to do was just give them a digestible form that was right for their age and for what they needed at the time. And then and I think what that does is it relieves you from having to fake too much. I think there is a part of this where there's a lot of fake it till you make it, because you don't want like your kids to have to bear the brunt. And so I do like think that can be part of the rehab. But it did bring like a sense of relief that they're not taking this personal, and I could reassure them about that I love hanging out with them and I love being with them, but this is just like it's just not something I can do in the same way right now. And they've been able to witness my healing and to see me come through this. And that's been such a joy for all of us. Like they have shared in that joy, and they would like point out to me, Mom, look, you could do this now and you couldn't do it before. You're eating this thing, brownies. Like for a while I couldn't do sugar. They're like, you're eating brownies, you must be better, So it's like we were able to celebrate those wins and all of that healing together. And it wasn't then emotionally overwhelming for them, because they were able to stay within their age and their development. I'm going to follow up with another video on this same topic, and I want to cover the anxiety part of this, the extreme anxiety part, the fear, terror, anxiety part of parenting through withdrawal. So if you're interested in that, and if this has been a help to you, I just encourage you to listen to the next one, stay tuned for it, and just know that I'm cheering you on, and there is so much good beyond this. And I also want to share more of my hope with you in the next video, and just what life looks like and family life looks like now for us, and just how far you can come. And I just want to encourage you that you are on your way, and your body is going to figure out how to heal, and your kids are going to see it. And that's going to be something that you will have and treasure those memories and the whole story of this for the rest of your lives. I think this can really draw people closer together. So don't give up and don't lose hope. All right, cheering you on. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.